Thank you, Brian. Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Nord, Senior Marketing Executive here and Third-Party Relationship Manager here at Streamline, and I'm thrilled to introduce two very talented people. Desiree Garcia and Maureen Schilling are with RevMAX MD, the revenue management here at Streamline. They have worked in revenue management for over 20 years in both the hotel and vacation rental industries. Both Desiree and Maureen have worked with brands such as Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, and independent properties in regions all over the country. They have worked with vacation rental companies with diverse types of inventory, such as beach condos, mountain cabins, island homes, desert haciendas, and luxury villas. Their work with this diverse group of clients and products has provided them with insights into what it takes to be successful in unique marketplaces. And through this understanding, it has enabled them to establish a process by which to support and educate property managers and their teams on creating a culture of revenue management in their businesses. This will not only create short-term success, but will provide them with a framework and roadmap to long-term success and company growth. So with that, let's begin today's webinar, Navigating the Revenue Management Ecosystem with Desiree Garcia and Maureen Schilling.
Thank you, and welcome to everyone who's joining us today. I'm Maureen, and we're very happy to be a part of this educational series, as one of our main goals with RevMAX MD is to educate property managers and their teams on how to create successful revenue management strategies for their businesses. So let's dive right in. Beginning today's discussion topic of navigating the revenue management ecosystem, we want to start by defining what revenue management has been in the past and how changes in the revenue management landscape have led to a further evolving in what revenue management is today and the new role of a revenue manager. We'll further look at industry tools to aid in the revenue management process and the need to consider revenue management in every aspect of the sales and marketing process. The goal of this is to create revenue management systems that are foundational, on which future growth can be built. Let's start with what revenue management has been in the traditional travel industry. Traditionally, revenue management is known as the application of discipline analytics that predict consumer behavior at the micro-market level and optimize product availability and price to maximize revenue growth, or more simply put, selling the right product to the right customer at the right time for the right price. So what has that entailed? Revenue managers traditionally were tasked with monitoring unit night and revenue pickup to identify dates showing higher and lower demand. They would forecast the most likely pickup scenario based upon current pace, historical data for the same time and the previous year, and create pricing and length of stay strategies based upon these forecasts. Revenue managers would review competitor rates and adjust pricing based upon a combination of forecast and company strategy. They would determine how many units should be sold each night to discounted market segments, such as through promotions, OTAs, or travel agents. They would create reports showing these predictions and strategies, and then report these findings to managers for review and overall adoption. It was a fairly systematic process, and a good revenue manager could easily bring in 2 to 3 times their annual salary, meaning investing in revenue management was an easy investment for companies to make. In the vacation rental space, revenue management has been difficult to even get started. The diversity and dynamic nature of inventory meant it was virtually impossible to get accurate data from which to base empirical decisions. Property management systems did not have the sophistication needed to create complex strategies that traditional hotel revenue managers could do with their advanced systems. And marketplace data was difficult to get and inconsistent from market to market. This made traditional revenue management systems ineffective in the vacation rental space. So fast forward to today. In today's vacation rental landscape, we have seen the emergence of data analytics systems that continue to evolve at an impressive speed. Among these leaders have been companies like LSI, Key Data, and Transparent, dynamic pricing tools that compete to bring the best algorithms and methods of rate management to the marketplace, brought to us by companies like Price Labs, Perfect Price, and Beyond Pricing, and property management systems like Streamline VRS that have advanced their revenue management platforms to enable the complex strategies that only hotels benefited from and tailored them to the unique methods vacation rentals need to create similar strategies in a time-efficient manner. And the progress is only accelerating. This means it's game on for our industry and the potential in revenue management. So what now? In this space that is uniquely complex, it isn't easy to transfer hotel RM knowledge to the vacation rental space, and traditional revenue management isn't the total story of what is necessary for property managers to be successful. We need to understand the ecosystem around us, the connection between each of these drivers of revenue generation, and how each of these drivers and management of them encompass the potential to create a revenue feedback loop that will drive earnings and growth. And maybe more important, how it enables us to hold on to market share during economic fluctuations, the goal being long-term sustainability and growth. So let's look closer at these drivers of revenue generation. Drivers of revenue generation are the main ways we can influence the flow of potential guest stays into our businesses. Understanding the way in which these drivers interact and contribute to the flow, as well as how to increase the flow from each of these drivers, is important to match the ever-changing needs of the company. To illustrate these drivers of revenue generation, we'll start with each driver as it relates to the flow of business necessary to sustain and fuel successful growth. Driver 1 is your website or mobile. A professional online presence that instills confidence in potential guests is essential. A website is the storefront of your business and should provide a positive user experience. It should be focused on conversion through providing enough content to enable decision-making, as well as efficiently moving guests through the booking process. The goal is to create a brand that guests feel is professional and successful. This reduces doubts and saves marketing costs by allowing guests to feel comfortable committing to the booking without needing to call the company directly or to shop other websites. Both the booking experience through your mobile site as well as your website should contain these qualities. The ultimate goal is to create a habit of booking direct instead of through a third party. Driver number 2 is marketing. Every company should have a marketing plan. Marketing helps us connect with potential and past guests through external content that encourages future bookings. Marketing allows us to communicate new information, stories, and images that give the prospective guest a vision of their next stay's potential. This includes such avenues as search engine optimization, email marketing, pay-per-click, social media, and blogs. If your company is just starting out with marketing, it is best to reach out to a company who specializes in the vacation rental industry. Some well-known marketing companies that specialize in the VR industry are BizCorp, Blue Tent, or Stoke Marketing. These companies have experience that can be valuable for targeting the right market. Working closely with the marketing company to provide them with the right message and content to reach your desired market, funnel business into specific units, or to target specific date ranges is important to increasing the success of your marketing strategies. Remember, you are always pointing your marketing people where you need their focus. Driver 3, marketplace exposure. Establishing and maximizing your presence through adding your unit inventory to online travel booking and listing sites will enable your units to be visible to a larger audience. Examples of these would be VRBO, HomeAway, Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia.com, and TripAdvisor. Participating in these sites extends your marketing reach beyond just your website and enables you to gain access to potential guests who habitually book through these sites. The value of this exposure and potential cannot be overstated. I have personally seen this contribute to over 30% year-over-year growth for a company who was not participating in these sites previously. For anyone not participating, I urge you to investigate the potential within your market. Now, how you use this opportunity of access to this new set of guests is important to how you view the value of the participation. One way to maximize this opportunity is to collect guest contact information so that you can remarket to them for future stays. The ultimate goal is turning guests earned from these sites into loyal repeat customers, sending them next time to your website to book directly. Your driver number 1. Driver 4, availability optimization or length of stay management. The length of stay driver can be one of the most instant ways to impact sales. Here are some examples of implementing length of stay strategies that will increase overall revenue for rental units at the company. Increasing length of stay requirements for high demand holidays or events to filter out shorter lengths of stay when there will be plenty of demand for longer stay patterns in the market. Decreasing length of stay requirements from Monday through Wednesday night stay patterns during off-peak seasons to allow inventory to be available to a greater number of guests who may be looking for shorter stay patterns. Or decreasing length of stay requirements during gaps in between 2 booked reservations to allow for more sellable unit night opportunities. Putting these strategies in place well in advance provides you with the greatest potential for gains. Be sure to review your reporting and data to identify times of opportunity. Lengths of stay should be fluid and dependent upon both market and unit booking patterns. Monitoring these on a weekly basis and engaging in increases and decreases on a unit level can make the difference in your company's ability to generate additional revenue. Driver number 5, rate management. The most sensitive driver after your length of stay driver for everyone involved will be your rate management driver. This is where knowing what to do and being able to back up what you are doing with supporting data can make the difference between gaining a sale or losing an owner. Knowing when to play the short game and when to play the long game is critical when using this driver. It's not always about price. In rate management, there are 5 main approaches. It is not unusual for more than one of these approaches to be deployed at the same time for different sets of dates. Let's take a look at each approach. Number 1, occupancy-based dynamic pricing. In occupancy-based dynamic pricing, the strategy prices your units based upon supply and demand. You must increase your rates when demand exceeds supply. For example, if 45 out of your 50 units are occupied, you can charge more for the remaining 5. This approach will increase your ADR and RevPAR. Additionally, at low demand seasons, when your occupancy is low, you can charge less for your units to attract bookings. Number 2, forecasting-based pricing. Forecasting-based pricing can be an effective strategy during your annual pricing review. For this, you should have a clear understanding of your company's historical data, occupancy data for the last couple of months, and for the same period during the previous year. This would give you an idea of how the occupancy might look on a given date throughout the year. A proper forecast would allow you to make informed changes in your room rates in advance enough to have the greatest impact based on demand and expected occupancy. You can also use this forecast to create length of stay strategies for the year, by week, and by unit, enabling you to get ahead of identifiable patterns. So all that is required as you move through the year is the modification of these strategies. To be noted here, your forecast would also depend on the increase or decrease in travelers coming to your local market, or an increase or decrease in the number of competitive units within your market. Number 3, competitor-based pricing. This type of pricing is based on understanding the rates being charged by your competitors. Having an accurate competitive set is critical to generating the best rate comparisons for your units. You will want to view rates for each unit segment, for example, 2-bedroom, 2-bath beachfront, in order to ensure you're getting the most relevant rates to your inventory. Watch for competitor promotions frequently and understand the impact that their marketing has on your booking pace for your company. Fees are also an important consideration. Be sure to compare your fees with your competitor fees annually to ensure you're offering the best value to your guests. To further help you understand competitor-based pricing, let's look at an example. Your company sells premium properties that typically rent at the top of the market. Through understanding your competitors' rates, you can adjust the market rate position for your sought-after properties during shoulder and off-peak seasons to gain occupancy through allowing the property to fall into a pricing bracket that is more affordable to a wider range of guests. This strategy of prioritizing occupancy instead of rate also allows the property to gain more guests in its return guest database that can be remarketed to at a later date, building up future potential for the property. This is where understanding how to explain this strategy to owners is critical. Number 4, length of stay based pricing. Length of stay based pricing allows you to change the rate you are offering based on the number of nights a guest is staying. This historically was completed by offering weekly rates, but as the length of stay in markets has changed, companies have adapted by looking for alternatives to just the weekly stay discount. This pricing type has the potential of generating greater amounts of revenue, especially when demand is high, as it allows you to filter through the shorter stays while capturing the overall greater income producing longer stays. To come up with the right pricing, you need to understand market demand to forecast potential bookings. Again, looking at your company and market data. This is a strategy that can be deployed on a per property basis, for example, enabling you to get a longer length of stay for your highest demand units during peak times, while still creating shorter stay strategies that will allow your lower demand units to rent at a higher rate, but will be available for shorter stays. This is a great example of selling the right product to the right guest at the right time for the right price. So let's look at an example of how length of stay-based pricing works. If the peak demand days of the week are Friday and Saturday, you can charge more for a guest where they are only staying Friday and Saturday night. However, if the guest is staying overnights that are lower demand, for example, a check-in on a Wednesday and a check-out on a Sunday, you can charge a lower nightly rate for that stay pattern. This is helpful at meeting the goals of the company by delivering more revenue in total, by being a better overall value for guests searching online for a longer stay pattern while capturing premium rates for guests only staying on those peak nights. Number 5, rate type based pricing. In this scenario, you can change the price of the same room for different types of rate type segments. A rate type may be defined as a wholesaler, an online travel agent such as VRBO or Airbnb, or any other type of rate. This is all about selling the same room at different prices to different types of guests. For example, you can charge a discount wholesale rate to a wholesaler who is selling units for golf tournaments, while charging an increased rate to guests who book through Airbnb. It allows you to sell a portion of your inventory at discounts while retaining the other portion of your inventory for premium rated guests, thereby increasing the overall occupancy of the company and ensuring more revenue for each unit. Determining what type of pricing you want to deploy during a date range and considering the approach that will best help you fill your inventory while capturing the greatest amount of revenue can seem complex. However, understanding your data and understanding how each method can lift your occupancy or enable you to be most competitive is an important step towards setting a strategy or choosing an industry tool for assistance. Moving between pricing strategies is common, such as deploying forecasting-based pricing over peak season and length of stay-based pricing over holidays. Knowing what your goal is will help you determine which method or tool will be best to help you achieve your goals. Keep in mind, when using an industry dynamic pricing tool, you should always be prepared to interface with that tool on a regular basis. No tool is set it and forget it, and they are meant to be an 80 to 90% solution, and you will need to do the rest to set up strategies that will enable these tools to be effective. In conclusion, developing a culture of revenue management does not just mean rate management. it includes an entire ecosystem of market and business data, system tools, and industry services that work in a system to drive long-term success. Understanding these drivers and how to use them empowers us and enables us to put solid plans in place. We want to create strategies in a proactive and confident way instead of reacting out of stress and anxiety. Our goal is to keep a steady flow of business into the top of the funnel. From that point, strategies can be put into place to filter out lower revenue generating stays in favor of those of higher overall value. And remember, value can come in multiple forms. It is not just rate-based, but can also be occupancy-based or increasing the number of guests in a unit to increase the future database of guests to whom can be marketed for future stays. There is a value to online travel agents despite their cost. The value in putting that guest in your unit, where you control the experience, gives your company the opportunity to earn that guest's repeat business through your professional and easy-to-book website. This is the feedback loop of potential and success that builds upon itself when all drivers are implemented in a systematic process. And most importantly, good data and reporting is the starting line of everything we do in revenue management. It is what determines how we are going to use our drivers of revenue generation and ultimately what pricing strategy we will use. It enables us to be informed about what is happening from week to week in our companies and make fast and informed decisions that allow our business to be adaptive to change. This results in effective management that adds to our bottom line. The need to be educated on how to use these data analytics systems, interpret their information, and set into place appropriate strategies is paramount. Revenue management is both a science as well as an art. It is important to allow your creative intuition to pair with accurate information to design a system for success. We at RevMAX MD are driven to help you get there. It's game on time. So now, how do we put this into place?
Perfect. So to recap for everyone, essentially, we're looking at a long-term revenue growth. Revenue management is not just focused on the quick win, but rather a marathon of strategy optimization. We are not only concerned about today's rate, but amplifying tomorrow's success. So here are your 4 takeaways from this webinar of which you can begin implementation today. First, make sure to understand your data. Whether you're getting data from your own PMS or one of the data providers in the marketplace, understand your numbers. Then, create a marketing plan. It is important to align your marketing messages with your booking window and when the guests are converting. Ensure you have a proactive strategic approach to coupons, deals, and promotions throughout the year. Then, you must get into the marketplace. It is imperative to understand what partners can help drive revenue to your business, know where your customers are coming from, and which channels can improve your placement in getting in front of them. Whether you're using a third-party online travel agency, a wholesale connection, or even social media, you have to get in front of the demand. Once and only when we have the demand can we start managing price and length of stay strategies, which include your rate type management, automatic pricing tools, and utilizing the different pricing methods for various times of the year and segments of inventory. That's when we begin to create strategies for the best results to maximize income and generate long-term success. It's go time. So essentially, RevMAX MD, we are educating property managers and their teams on how to best utilize revenue management tools and create strategies that result in long-term profitability and growth. We get in the trenches with you and build confidence through building competence. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. So I want to kind of open it up to questions. I know Desiree will be trying to field some of these questions, but we do have some ample time to take questions from the audience, either from what the presentation has been about up to this point on education or about the product itself. So please go ahead, use that Q&A box here on the bottom portion of your Zoom screen to ask any questions of our presenters. I'll give everybody a couple minutes to ask some questions. Awesome. I see a few questions coming in. Desiree, do you see those questions as well?
I do. It says, how much do we use key data to achieve our results? So in our revenue management practice, whenever we're consulting with clients, key data is a partner that we use to get data analytics, look at the market, analyze trends, and forecast what's going to happen based on historicals, as well as understand the unit's performance if there is a need to further strategize, whether it has to do with rate or whether it has to do with where the guests are coming from in the historicals. It's pretty imperative. Any data provider is going to be imperative to analyzing your revenue management strategy. So I see the next question says, what reports in Streamline can easily help analyze individual property performance year over year? So there's a few different reports within specifically the Streamline system, but any report such as a revenue pacing report or property revenue comparison report can help see individual unit results. There's another question. So is RevMAX MD a new service that Streamline is offering to VRMS? So RevMAX MD is the revenue management division within Streamline. So within our division of tools, reporting, strategic support, and consulting, yes, this is available to all of our Streamline clients. So other than RevMAX, what is a good analytics website for competition? You mean for data analytics? I think I'd want that person to elaborate a little bit on the question. What kind of analytics? And then while that person responds, there's another question. Will length of stay pricing make minimum stays irrelevant, or is there still a place for restricting those offerings? You definitely want to first implement your minimum stay strategy as your first line of defense. And then as you need to fill gap nights, or even whenever there is an incentive for guests to stay longer and you're trying to increase your shoulder nights, that's when you would want to implement length of stay. And then how many rate types can be implemented with Streamline? Rate types, you can have as many rate types as you need. Independent rate types by channel of distribution, it is one rate type per channel of distribution. But within that channel, you can have different percentages or rates to go out to everybody.
So Chad has a question. How do you price nightly stays for peak seasons when weekly requirements have been standard? It has been a tough sell to owners to drop weekly requirements in effort to allow nightly stays during peak seasons, beach summer, etc. So I hear you on this one. Absolutely. We have had that question come up frequently. And so there's a couple of different ways you could approach it. Number one is just the beta route. So what I have, kind of suggested to some property managers is you probably know some owners that are on board with dropping the length of stay requirement. You might not want to drop the length of stay requirement right away. So that's another thing. You don't have to say, hey, at the start of the season, it's 2 nights, minimum. You can start with a 7-night minimum. And you can say, okay, well, we are going to use the shorter lengths of stay in order to fill in whatever's remaining if the longer lengths of stays aren't booking. So maybe your peak booking window is up until 30 days in advance. And then after that, most of the people that are interested in that week-long stay have made arrangements. And so you know that maybe there's only 20% of your business that is still to book, right? And so you have more than 20% of your inventory available. So you have a problem there of supply and demand. So some of the recommendations are to make it so that within a 30-day window, you remove or start to systematically reduce that length of stay from 7 nights to maybe 5 nights to then 4 nights, 3 nights, and then, you know, maybe week of 2 nights, you know, whatever that lowest requirement is that you feel comfortable with. And also, if you have always had a company culture of its week-long stays, start it with a beta. Start with a group of your owners that you feel comfortable with, that if you sat down and explained this to them or had a phone conversation, they'd say, yeah, sure, I'm on board. If, you know, within a couple of weeks in advance, I'm not booked, I'd be happy to take a 5-night stay. I'd be happy to take a 3-night stay 2 weeks in advance. So those are some ways that you can work with the owners that you have that are flexible, that you can systematically decrease the length of stay so that it's not just dropping it to something that would be uncomfortably low, and then measure that. So that's where the data is so important. Measure the results of what you've tried. And for those owners that have participated in the beta and have seen successful results, show those results to other owners. Say, I've tried this and these are our results. We've found that we've been able to book, you know, those units 20% more frequently in the summertime because we've been able to fill those gaps.
So there's another great question. Typically, a short-term rental portfolio would include homes of different sizes in varying locations and amenities. So our revenue management systems labor intensive for the small business owner, and are there services available that can revenue manage the entire portfolio? So the answer is a yes. It can definitely be a little bit more labor intensive because you'll be looking at the same reports but for different markets if they're across, you know, different areas. However, usually the same strategies, high level, will be able to be replicated throughout all of your different portfolios. That's why some of this is great, because it's not just a quick win for 2 units here or there. Once you have your foundation and your revenue management ecosystem, that's something that you'll be able to replicate for any size of inventory, for any location, and for your entire portfolio. Okay.
I will say that the one attendee that asked, other than RevMAX, what's a good analytics website for competition, then they were able to clarify that a little bit more for data analytics. So there was a little bit of an extra response. So Desiree, do you want to take that one as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So data analytics, we have a few different partners, but you can usually get data analytics either from your own PMS, partners like Key Data, LSI Tools, RevMAX MD. We have our own line of reporting as well. And that's going to be for your business intelligence as well as market intelligence.
Answered or not, one person asked, is it possible for the future for Streamline to have rate types set for a certain number of nights and a certain rate for a different number of nights running simultaneously?
Yes.
Yes, that is in the development process. It's not rolled out yet, but yes.
Gotcha. Well, if there are no other questions, I think, unless there's maybe one more here at the bottom.
Any recommendations with demand for spring break being down this year in the panhandle of Florida? probably marketing. So this is where we talk about that entire ecosystem. So you have to fill the funnel at the top, right, before you can do anything else. Because if you don't have enough demand coming in, then there's nothing for you to really manage. You can't manage your rate, you can't manage length of stay, because it's open. You'll take whatever you can get. So what you're trying to do now is you're saying that demand for spring break is being down as in the market. So what you need to do is you need to grab more of the share of the market that's coming in. So you need to increase your exposure. If you're on OTAs, that's great. You're probably looking at, maybe getting on 2 or 3 OTAs in order to really kind of capture as much as you can for market share. VRBO, HomeAway, Airbnb, Booking.com. These, of course, are the heavy hitters down there. And then also, if you're not doing systematic marketing, email marketing to your past database of guests, that's where I would probably start. Maybe doing email campaigns twice a month, doing blogs that draw people into your website, making sure your website is bookable, easily able to be booked through mobile, so that the people who are, the younger people who are coming for spring break can easily book into your property.